You could tell something happens because the entire crowd panics.
Jamila Hankinson watches videos her niece took on June 1st, remembering when the once peaceful protest took a wrong turn onto the expressway. Protesters are met by a SWAT team firing tear gas. People try running up the grassy embankment and over a fence.
They're just sandwiched there, and just people are climbing on top of each other. It was horrible.
Jamila was with her sister and niece. They had been peacefully protesting against police brutality just minutes prior. Then pivoted to helping protesters coming over the fence. Eventually, Jamila and her family were also affected by the tear gas.
It's horrible. Never seen anything like it.
But the use of tear gas that day was not the first time it was deployed to stop George Floyd protesters. The day before, people took to West Philly streets, looting stores and lighting police cars on fire. In response, Police Commissioner Outlaw ordered police to use tear gas. The Philly SWAT team had not used tear gas for civil unrest since the 1985 MOVE bombing.
Were they even trained to use it for civil unrest, and did it give you any pause that practically they had never used it for this?
Well, and that was another reason why I met with the SWAT team. They reassured me. They said, look, these are the munitions that we have.
But it went horribly wrong. Take a look at this video. It was taken by a West Philly resident. It seems to show SWAT officers throwing tear gas canisters down residential streets. According to the city controller's investigation, the tear gas was only supposed to be used on 52nd Street between Chestnut and Market.
What SWAT did was deploy tear gas all the way down to Spruce Street. And that led to innocent bystanders and neighbors, people in the neighborhood being tear gassed.
Later that night, police responded here to Kensington Avenue where protesters were looting stores. According to one of the reports, police also used tear gas, but it was without the commissioner's approval.
And then, of course, came 676.
Knowing what happened in West Philly and how that turned out, the residents were impacted, did you see a need for tear gas and other less than lethal munition on 676?
Again, I think for that one, what still concerned me was timeline. There's still ongoing use of force investigations where I don't have an answer to the timelines just yet.
But 4 consulting firms retained by the city have gone through extensive video, documents, and interviews. None found any evidence that protesters were violent against police on the highway. Still, Outlaw wouldn't say whether the use of force in that situation was proper or improper.
The state police car didn't vandalize itself. All of that debris that we saw on the ground wasn't all police debris. Something happened. And my question is, when did that happen? And what was our response when we saw it occurring?
It's pretty clear in Philadelphia that things went very, very poorly at every level, from planning to use of force.
Gil Kurlikowsk is the former Seattle police chief and also served as the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner. He read one of the reports on the PPD's response.
You probably want to stay away as much as you can from those kinds of munitions.
Hankinson is one of dozens of protesters suing the city for excessive use of force.
What do you hope to get out of that?
Change within the city of Philadelphia, better policies.
And change is something Outlaw says she is working on. For the investigators, I'm Claudia Vargas, NBC 10 News.
Now, last fall, the Philadelphia City Council passed and Mayor Kenny signed a bill that bans the use of tear gas and other less than lethal force weapons against peaceful protesters. But it's police who determine what is peaceful and what is not. You can watch our full investigation into how unprepared police were during last year's protests at NBC10.com/unpreparedpolice. It is also on our free NBC 10 app. Jim?